Hi, my name is Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I am talking about complex PTSD recovery. And the topic is when you crash after a really great therapy or coaching session. Okay, that's the title. I came up with this because somebody who has taken who's enrolled to do my free interventions for Inner World Transformations course. That's where I teach three of my favorite interventions. She sent me an email and she asked me this question, what I advise it, what I recommend during this time. And so I thought, let me just make a live video, and I will answer. And so this is in response to that. Um, and let me just and let me introduce myself a little bit more here in case you're new to my page or channel. um, I specialize in helping people resolve symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, and and I help people recover. I help people do the brain work for that. Brains resolve symptoms. They have a natural process for this, and when that process is working well, symptoms resolve very, very beautifully. And so and well and deeply. And not only that, but once that process is moving well with these symptoms, the brain will use, instead of making symptoms, it will make growth and post-traumatic growth and wellness and help us thrive. Um, Also, this is how we shift out of survival mode. There's so many things are going on here. And that's really what I help people do. And so I have a bunch of videos. I have a blog, and that's what I'm talking about. And so that's the background here. And so I commonly work with people with complex PTSD. Um, I have a history of complex PTSD, and so I know this subject, and I have lived this subject, and so part of what I am, my journey and figuring this stuff out, absolutely comes from my own need to have it figured out, and so that's my background, and so I'm going to read a little bit of her message to me, and and then I'm going to answer it. But I also want to make this something that if you've experienced this or you're worried about this, that you have a little bit of understanding for. So I'm going to start with just talking about what she's talking about. And there's really good things that happens with these crashes and not good things. And so there's signs that can go either way. Um, and the So I want you to be able to read them and then know how to support them, because these things are, if this goes bad, this is why people don't want to do trauma work, right? No thank you, and I don't blame you. And also when they go really well, we just need some reassurance that this is okay, this is good. So I want you to have some signs and see what's going on. Having a crash after a trauma session is not normal. It doesn't happen regularly. If it is happening regularly, see if I can talk here, then that would be something that you would want to revisit with your therapist. And this is the journey to healing can be gentle, it can be easy, it can even be fun. And I tell clients this, and because the more fun we're having, the faster we're learning. So that's also a trick to this work, is just to have to keep it easy, because we're with PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, we are having a hard time processing the experiences in our life, the emotions that are arising because of those symptoms that have happened, and because they register in the brain as pain. And so that emotional pain really shuts down, slows, or impairs and stops altogether the brain's ability to heal. And so we're working with something that already is going to shut the brain's healing process down. And so we've really got to help the brain work with this really powerful um, energy, sensations that it's trained to run from, right? And so we want this journey, because we're going to be doing a lot of it, and so we want it to be as gentle as possible. We don't need to activate a ton of pain to do that. And we want it, the least amount of pain we can activate, the better. The faster we heal, the better the process is. And you can see the process completing. And it's pretty instant. I mean, it's like instant feedback. It's instant gratification. It's really awesome. Um, but it makes it fun, right? You get a bit of probably some dopamine in there. I haven't thought about that before. And you get a reward for resolving a symptom instead of a panic going to panic and it goes into the other. It's very fulfilling and fun. So I like to get people really right rewarded here because that means they will do this work better. So we really want this to be a fun thing. However, um, there are times when you can have a great session, you don't see it coming, and you'll have a crash afterwards. And so I want to define crash really quick so that we have something to work with. It's a dramatic word, but it's the word that I used. And we could substitute any word in here. Perhaps I'm not wording the best today, and there's a better word. If you got it, go ahead and put it in here for us. Um, so, um, but a crash being, in her case, what she wrote is that she had a really great session, and she had a coaching session. She's been working on her cPTSD for a while, and so it sounds like she's making a transition from deep trauma work to personal growth, which is great. That's a wonderful, great job, and so this time she was working on something, and she couldn't, and afterwards she couldn't do anything, almost anything, and had to go back to bed. And so and then she says in the past staying in bed didn't solve anything. So I don't know what's happening exactly when she's there. But she said that she tried some of the interventions and and things got better. And so I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. Um, so um, so for her crashes, she got put to bed. Her system said, you better go lay down. No, we're not focusing on anything. No, we're not going to be talking to people. No, we're not going to go exercise. Go lay down. And so she really had to go do that. And I think that's wonderful. I think we should be working with the body, not fighting against the body. The body does know how to heal. And we just need to add a couple ingredients. And it's like fireworks and awesome things happen. Um, some crashes can be like that. You just lose function for a period of time, and you should be getting back up. Part of post-traumatic stress disorder, when it's not being properly treated, is that the crash lasts a really long time, months, right? Years. And that's, we don't want that. Gosh, I like see my opportunity to nerd out right here. I have a diagram I've been working on that I'm like, insert diagram now, but I don't have it here. I didn't anticipate this window opening for me. So I'm going to have to do that soon. But one of the ways that we measure health is if something happens, how long does it take your brain to convert it into growth? And when it takes years or never, that's a big problem, right? If it takes a week, we're getting there. Thank you. Good job, brain. But really, we want the shortest amount of turnaround. And sometimes, regardless of whether we've been working on this for decades or we're just beginning, sometimes we hit something that is massively painful from our past. The more you work on this, the more skills you have to process this, and the more that new part of you that's coming up for healing, it meets so much more functioning parts that it's easily integrated. A lot of times in the beginning of the work, there's so many wounds and there's not all of that regrowth built that it can really take a lot of time because actually you need to do this thing first and then you need to go heal this wound. And it's just like, so you kind of, in the beginning with cPTSD, you're almost just everything. You're working from crash. You kind of stay in crash for a little bit until the system starts to catch some wheels. Like, okay, I think I've got this. All right, we're moving, we're functioning, and then maybe something happens, and then there's the regression, and then but and so um, you you don't really notice a crash when you're in that phase because it's kind of all crashed, you know. Um, and so it's really, you'll notice these as you get further along in the healing, as your wellness grows, you'll run into some of these crashes. And you're like, "What's up? I thought I was doing great." And these are just integration times, okay? And because they don't happen often and they are um, common enough when you work with so many people, you're going to see them occur. Um, I will, okay, secrets of this trauma therapist. When that happens and my clients handle them well, I am thrilled because I know that their system is integrating so many things. I know that in the next 3 days, there's gonna be incredible growth. They're gonna come back and they're gonna tell me all their insights, their epiphanies. They're gonna tell me, I had this conversation, I said something completely different. It just happened to me today. I had a deep trauma session with a client, and today they said, afterwards, they were like, "No, yes, this is what's gonna happen," with somebody that they never do that with, and that was really problematic for them. And all of a sudden now they're doing something different, right? So we want to see that integration after a crash. And so by the time someone gets to this place where they've been doing therapy sessions, coaching sessions, they're working with their inner world, um, and they're skilled enough, these things can be really good. Okay. Let me tell you the signs of good and not good. Um, it- uh, I have my brain wants to talk about something over here left field, but it's on the same game. But let's talk about some good signs. Some good signs is it feels okay, right? In this one, this when she shared this, she didn't talk about a lot of distress. She didn't say she was laying in bed having panic attacks. That would not be a good sign. She basically her system put her to sleep. Great. Your brain actually needs quite a bit of focus energy to do repairs, and so if it just had a lot of success, and it's like, ooh, look at all this information that finally got to the parts of the brain, and we can all work and we can build some things. You're going to sleep. We got to work on things, right? Because sleep is a great time for rebuilding, right? Which is sometimes with depression, we're sleeping and because our system put us to sleep because for a different reason. It's like a pain management strategy. In this case, this is a reorganization strategy. This is fine. If your brain is putting you to sleep because you're reorganizing, fabulous. Sometimes crashes are just you're more emotional all the time. Sometimes crashes are I'm going backwards here a little bit, but stay with me here. Sometimes crashes are you're having a lot of flashbacks. That can be really good if those flashbacks that you're having aren't really very painful. If they're just like, oh yeah, I could see that. Uh-huh, uh-huh. It's almost like the furniture in the back is moving around. That's a good sign. Not a lot of pain is activating, things are moving. And when clients are doing that, I'm like, let it roll. Stay out of there. Don't, that's not your business. That's your brain is working. Prefrontal cortexes, our thinking center, love to get in there and be like, well, move the furniture over here. No, this is not your job. The subconscious mind is reorganizing. Uh, Stay out of there. Let them work. They're the masters. Please mind your business. Prefrontal cortex. Um, um, oh, I had so much fun with that. I lost my train of thought. Okay, let me get back on here. Um, where was I? Um, okay, sometimes the flashbacks are part of, if they're painful, they're on the this is not a good thing team. If my clients have enough skills, and I have watched them work through flashbacks before already, because I teach people how to work with flashbacks, because I know with complex PTSD they can happen at any time. They're going to happen. They're going to happen. They're not just going to say, okay, now we're with your therapist and we can have a flashback. No, they're going to be happening. So I train clients to anticipate them and what to do with them. So if by this time they've already got skills with that, I will remind them after a great session. We've done some really deep work. I'll say, hey, if you're having flashbacks and they're just moving, let them move, you know. But if they're starting to feel not so good, I want you to use some of the interventions. And they know which interventions we're talking about because we've already matched them with interventions and they've been practicing them already. They're already skilled at them. They already know their brain loves them, their brain will respond, and they can use them to get their brain out of sticky spots. So, however, if you do not have skills and you're doing work that creates a lot of flashbacks and you're sitting at home in flashback land being tortured by your brain, this is not okay. This is not okay. If my clients are doing this and they're early on, like I am trying to make sure this does not happen. I don't even open up stuff that I think could cause flashbacks until I've got them to a place where they're skilled enough to handle that flashback. Okay, so if that's happening after a therapy session, this is no bueno. This is not good. And there are strategies for this. This is why I'm like, enroll in my program, that free program. Learn some strategies. These are my three favorite ones. I know they work. I know they get results consistently. Anybody can from anywhere, and people are enrolling around the world. Um, you can try them out and see if your system likes them, and all of a sudden you're equipped with an intervention that can, if you're starting to have flashbacks, you can shift yourself out, and that you can work with that. You can convert that flashback into healing. That's actually, flashbacks are brain's ability, brain's effort to try to heal, and so it's just not working, and so we add an intervention in here, and all of a sudden it's taking off. And so this way, if you're working with a therapist, or you've had a situation with somebody that's all these flashbacks, you can grab that and heal. You don't have to sit at home and suffer. That's not that I don't want you to sit at home and suffer without any skills or strategies, or no way to alleviate and the pain. But really, what I'd like you to do is convert that into your next levels of health and wellness, which is what your brain is trying to do. But when we've got this PTSD stuff, we know your brain is struggling to convert these things into health and wellness. That's why we're helping. So, um, I'm shifting over to the not good side. Some things we'll see is a thing called flooding, where it's like the floodgates open and all the trauma, all the emotions come on you, and you're just kind of hammered with a big wave. We don't want that. We are not going for that. That's why I don't have people pushing into stuff they're not ready for. Some people are like, I want to heal so bad, I'll do anything. And they go and they do this and they're flooded. That can be really re-traumatizing. And that can make this process much, much more difficult, because then your brain is starting to learn that trauma work, and is re-traumatizing. Now your survival system is going to keep you away from trauma work, and maybe your therapist, which, right, that is already happening around the world. So we don't want this work to be re-traumatizing. We want it to be gentle, remember, and sometimes a bad. I don't want to use bad. Well, let's use concerning um, effects in a crash are feeling like you're losing control, or gonna die, or something like that. Now we're moving into panic attack land, but also overwhelming despair. That can be kind of okay. Despair can be okay if you have the skills for it. If you don't, if you're already depleted and you're early in your journey, we want to avoid that. If it's in there, as you look ahead, basically all the unprocessed emotion, which could be despair, eventually we're going to want to get in there with our vacuum cleaner. We're going to want to vacuum that up in the unprocessed land, and we're going to want to make sure it gets to the processed. We're going to take it to the processed land. Okay, so we are coming for despair. If despair is in your inner world, it needs to get processed. Brains make beautiful things out of despair. You want it processed. But if you're not ready for it, it's not time, right? So now I want to kind of pull back here, because we've got some good signs, some not so good signs. If you're early on, you're probably under, like I said, it's kind of all crashed, and we just need to stabilize. And I have videos for that. So I'm going to answer her question. Um, so what I know about her so far is she says she already knew about energy medicine. That's one of the interventions I teach, a strategy in there. And tapping, I also teach that, and I also teach another one. She didn't know about that one. And she said she's got cPTSD, and she's already done a lot of work to liberate false beliefs and transpersonal wounds and so on. So that tells me she's advanced in her journey. And so that tells me she's got skills, and then she knew to go back to bed to listen. And so really my easy now message to share with her is what I recommend during that time is self-care, 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 and processing, processing, processing. After a great session, your brain has jobs to do now. Now it needs to completely digest what occurred, all the new information it has, and then integrate it. And then there's a lot of building and then reorganizing. Because now that it's building new functions, the whole thing needs to be reworked. Your brain's like, oh my gosh, well, that means this doesn't go there anymore and this goes here. And so they really need time and support to do that. This is an electrical process, all of this. And so it should be happen quickly. Like 3 days is really where I want to see the metabolizing of all the stuff and the integration process take place. If we can get it in that window, we're winning. Um, but um, and so what we want to do is body care. We want to send messages of safety to the limbic system part of the brain, the part of the brain that is determining, is this safe or is this not safe, right? We want it to use the body to send messages because it's listening to the body, to that part of the brain that says, we're safe actually. I know there's all this pain moving because look at this memory that's floating up now, and all these, all this electrical process. We don't even know what's going on in there. It's so much. But we want to make sure that brain is saying, okay, well, I'm going to let all this stuff through and I'm going to let it process, rest and digest mode, you know. um, that's really what we want to facilitate so that we can give your system the time and space to integrate what has happened. You know that things have done their job when you've noticed your function has increased, your mood has risen again, you have more function in focus, concentration, problem solving, insight, epiphanies. Those are all really great signs. Um, so during this time, I recommend to my clients baths, uh, walks in natures. I get to know them by this time, so I know what they're drawn to and what's on their healing team. I'm like, healing team, activate now. Sometimes that's in bed. I give them permission to scroll, nonsense scrolling, right? Zone out. I encourage EMDR music. If they like that, I'd like to trial that out with people because I want to make sure it's helpful to them and not harmful. So please, I don't. I'm just giving you a behind the scenes. I think this woman can handle it. I suspect she could. I don't know if you could, but you could get there. I give people that strategy. Um, I think in the first week of my program, but I teach it, and it's actually I have a video about this in my Facebook group, releasing the baggage of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, PTSD. And so, if you want to access that video, you can go in there and search. I'll add a link here in Facebook land. Um, let's see. Um, so that's really it, is just, and really trusting your system to process, really. And then if you can get that great session converted and up in 3 days, you're doing really well. If not, and it takes a week or so, great, and we're still in a good space. Keep supporting the process, keep self-caring, whatever that means for you. And that's it. Really, brains, we should see a brain hit something that needs to be digested. You might see a loss of some functions as things get reorganized, and then we would see growth. That's my diagram. That's the short of it. I'm not going to go nerd right now. Later, but really that's what we want to see, and we want to see that growth happen at the end. If that's happening, great. You can look back and be like, good job, brain, that was great. Yeah, I understand you needed that day, and teamwork, high five, thank you very much. That's really, that's how I see it. So um, thank you so much for this question. And I didn't get your permission to say your name, so I'm not going to, but I really appreciate this. And I'm glad you reached out and asked me this question, because I'm asking. If you join my email list, I am asking you, how you doing? Do you have any questions? You need anything? Anyway, um, so if you are anywhere in your journey and you are noticing this, or you are somebody who is wanting to do this journey, is needing some reassurance, support, empowerment, um, reassurance, I think I said that. Um, or you're somebody who is already doing this work and you've had a couple of post session lows or crashes. Um, anybody really, and what I really would encourage you to do is really enroll in my program and that free program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation. So I can have the opportunity to teach you 3 of my favorite interventions for this work, and that so that you can trial them out, see if they work for you. If they do, I show you how to see if they do in that program as well after you're trying them and seeing how they go. I'm getting fantastic feedback from people. They're saying things like, "I'm noticing shifts right away. I the first time I used it, I felt so much better." That's really what we want to see. We want to see you're going to the more effective your brain is at doing its work of resolving symptoms, the better you're going to feel. I know that sounds like duh, but yeah, for real. And so try it out. You should notice symptoms. You should notice it supporting your brain within 30 to seconds to 2 minutes. And so it's a short investment of time and to get some pretty fast feedback back. Um, you can find a link to that in the description section of this video. I'm going to leave it in the comments. And yeah, thanks for chatting with me. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.